Hi, I'm Peter Jones, Chartered Surveyor, author and property investor. And in this short series of videos I want to share with you some of the sort of golden nuggets and pearls of wisdom which I learned when I went on a high-level mentoring experience a few weeks ago. Now, one of the things which came out which really hit me and challenged me was the idea of systemizing and leveraging. What do I mean by that? Well, essentially it means finding somebody else to do the kind of stuff that we often end up doing ourselves. So to put this into a little bit of perspective, I'm a chartered surveyor and I've been in property now for over 35 years, and for the last 20 years I've been working for myself, and for the last 15 years or so I've been investing in my own right. But like a typical one-man band business person, I did everything myself. So I did my own bookkeeping, I did my own admin, and that was on top of trying to find deals, on top of trying to project manage refurbs, etc, etc. I was just creating a job, 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week, trying to fit everything in, constantly chasing around, trying to make sure that the next job was finished because there's always more to do, and the paperwork was just building up and building up. And I've realised over the last couple of years, because my mentors told me, that I should not be doing a lot of this stuff, that I should be leveraging it out, getting somebody else in to do it for me. And so a couple of years ago I took that decision, and I now no longer do my own admin, I now no longer do my own bookkeeping, and that's saved me hours and hours every month which I've been able to use doing far more profitable and fruitful things in my business, because that's the key thing. It's about making sure that we do the things in our business which are really going to count. Our time, your time, my time is much better spent doing things that are going to make a real difference. Now, what's going to make a real difference in our property investing? Probably finding the right deals, definitely. How about finding people in our network? Do you remember in the last video I talked about the power of the network and challenged you as to who you're hanging out with? Well, if you're thinking you ought to be hanging out with people who can perhaps help you on your property journey, how are you going to find the time to go and find them if you're doing your own admin or you're doing your own bookkeeping, for example, like I was? So systemization and leverage is definitely the way ahead. And it makes a lot of sense. Richard Branson doesn't do his own bookkeeping, does he? Lord Sugar doesn't do his own bookkeeping, he doesn't do his own admin. He's out doing deals, he's out meeting people, he's out networking. And that's the kind of thing that we need to be doing. Now, the big challenge for me is that my instant response whenever I think of something that needs to be done is, how can I do that? Notice the words there. How can I do that? The big challenge when I was being mentored was, Peter, you've got to think about this another way. Rather than thinking, how can I do that? You need to be thinking, who can I get to do that? In other words, who else can I get to do that? Because we end up doing a lot of stuff which we probably shouldn't be doing. As I say, we need to be clearing our time to make sure that the time that we do spend is time spent on the things that are going to make the big difference. If you're like me, if you're like how I was particularly a few years ago, you'll find that you're spending a lot of your time doing stuff which actually isn't going to make an awful lot of difference. Another exercise for you, perhaps just keep a little notebook with you, and for a week or two, or maybe even for a month if you can, just write down every half hour or so exactly what you've been doing. And then at the end of the week, end of the month, have a look through and just see where you really spend your time. And I suspect that unless you're already very organised and very much into systems already, that you're going to find that you're doing a lot of stuff which you probably shouldn't be doing. And if you could get somebody else to do that for you, it'll free up a lot of your time to do the stuff that's going to make a big difference in your life. Now, the objection I would have had a few years ago would have been cost. I don't want to pay somebody to do something I can do myself. Fully understand that. But it's a bit like what we were talking about in the first video about the cost of investing in ourselves. It's not actually a cost, is it? It's an investment. And finding somebody else to do the things that we shouldn't be doing and paying them to do it is an investment and not a cost. So yes, okay, it might cost you a couple of £100 to get somebody to do your bookkeeping and your admin every month, but if that frees you up to go out and build the network of successful people who you should be hanging out with, if it helps you build up a network of potential joint venture partners who can finance your next property deal, if it gives you the time to go out and find the most amazing property deal to be able to do with a potential JV partner, that's where your time is better spent. And so a few £100 or whatever it costs to systemize and to leverage is a price worth paying. And in this day and age, there's so many different tools that we can use to help us with this. I mean, not just in terms of the technology, or there's loads of different softwares that we can run on our computers and even on our phones now, which can help us be better organised, for example. But we can also take on VAs, virtual assistants, for example, people in the Philippines who are highly educated, highly technical, and who will work for you for, I don't know, £250, £300 a month, which to us sounds criminal, but that's actually the going rate. That's a good wage in the Philippines, because the standard of living, the cost of living, is so much lower. I was going to say the standard of living is lower, slightly lower, but the cost of living is so much lower. All sorts of different tools that we can use nowadays to help us to be able to leverage and systemize. So that was a big challenge for me, something which I'm having to take on board, something which I'm thinking about a lot at the moment. Not how can I do that, but who can I get to do that.